everybody, it's Romania Black. Yeah, so I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. No, I recorded episode 10 like a few days ago, and I got caught up on some recordings and was like, well, what do I want to watch now? I want to watch Death Note episode 11. I'm officially hooked. You got me. I'm hooked on this series, and there's no stopping me now. So yeah, I wanted to go ahead and record episode 11 because when you leave off with something weird like that, like a weird cliffhanger, and I just watched the English dub, and so yeah, so apparently someone has sent in these tapes. I'm assuming it's Light that has sent in these tapes to this news crew to do some kind of story. I'm sure it's gonna be something to try to get at L's goat, to try to get at him somehow, right? Because L's been doing a pretty good job these last couple episodes of kind of getting under Light's skin, and Light's not gonna be able to take that. So you know, I'm sure that whatever he's planning with the news crew, whatever recordings are on this, is something to try to like lure out L and try to antagonize him. I'm sure. It's just a matter of what, right? And he has the perfect alibi that his dad has bad health right now. He just had a heart attack, so his dad's not under the weather. So L isn't investigating Light at the moment, so it gives Light a little bit of ample time to plan something. Now, whether or not L picks up on that mysterious like activity of Kira while Light is not being observed by him, we shall see, right? But I do have a couple notes from episodes 8 and 9 before we start. Several of you noted, I kept being like, what does MPA stand for? I know it stands for something Police Academy, but I didn't know it was national. For some reason, I kept thinking with Japan, it wouldn't be national, it'd be something more localized, but I didn't want to look it up for fear of spoilers, but several of you said that MPA is National Police Academy. Thanks. That helps out a lot. Moral ARF talked about that Oba, who is one of the creators of Death Note, noted that L oftentimes when he says one number or numerical percentage, he means the opposite. So if he says that something is a 1% chance, it's a 99% chance because he's trying to throw off his opponent. I'm like, that makes sense. A couple of things in the last episode, I was like, well, he kept saying like his numbers were going up. So I don't know if exactly that meant it was going down, but whatever the case may be, that's interesting to note. Robin Hood Productions noted that around episode 8, that Light definitely shows that he's not heterosexual. And I love the discussion we've had about that on the Discord as well as in the comment section. Yeah, personally, I know I've been joking a lot about L and Light being in this BL, like, homosexual relationship, but no, honestly, I think Light and L are both like asexual aromantics, 100%. They very much are. Like, I know people love to ship like Sherlock and Moriarty, but I fully believe that Light in this sense is totally aromantic, asexual. He is not interested in anybody physically. He doesn't know how physical emotions work. I'm kidding, but he's just not interested in anybody. But it's interesting because his whole front as the normal typical schoolboy includes looking at magazines and being turned on by women, and it's all performative. It's just Light performing his attraction to women. When he goes on the date to get Ray Pinbar to follow him, it's a performance. It's not real. He has no real physical attraction to women. So in the OP, when we get the one girl, I'm like, is she going to be part of the performance? Because I'm sure she will be. I just can't see Light having anything to do sexually with women at this point in time, right? I just don't see it. So it'll be interesting to see how that changes or develops as we go. But I thought that was really cool, Robin Hood Productions, that you pointed out his attraction is definitely reads as performative or false. Caitlin noted that Light's time to this, that his view of women could deal more with the 2000s Japanese perspective of women. I think it's more just sexist. To be honest, I don't think it ties to like a certain year perspective. I think that Light's just sexist. He just thinks that women are inferior. I just think that's how he is. Because Caitlin did note that he kept on trying to correct himself about Naomi and that she was throwing him off. And it's like, wow, this woman is actually capable of something. Imagine that, Light. I just don't think he views women, and she made as equal to him, and she made the comment in the section that hurting women to him equates hurting a child. Well, he killed Naomi, so I don't know what that says about him, but he definitely, I agree with Caitlin in that he has a manipulative approach to women, and definitely views them as inferior, and to me that's just classic good old sexism more than any specific perspective tied to a certain era. Nah, Light's just sexist, and that's all there is to it, but that's fine. He's our protagonist. What can we do about him? Now, L, does he have that same view? I don't know, because L seemed like he was pretty empathetic. But you could also view that it's maybe not just sexism. Maybe Light just viewed her as inferior because she wasn't him. That's his ego, right? So maybe it's more to do with that. But I thought that comment was interesting, Caitlin, so thank you for making that. Caitlin V talked about how the persona of light has always been there, and it's always kind of been a persona. And I really liked that comment. I was like, yeah, the more we get into this series, and especially at the end of the last episode where Light's talking about making his brand new world, Kira is not just a persona, it's who Light really is. And Light Yagami is just a performance, and it's becoming more and more of a performance. Like in the last episode where he's like, I have to be the son worried about his dad, and performing it, I'm like, yeah, no, the Kira, this god he's trying to become, is more of who he actually is underneath the surface. And Light Yagami has just been a performance all along. And it's becoming more and more noticeable that that's the case. Now, does that tie into the fact of like some serial killers or people that have like a disassociative identity? I don't know, but it definitely seems that under the surface he has this persona he's putting out to the public versus how he actually is behind closed doors. It's interesting. So thank you, Kaylin V. Anastasia noted that in a lot of Japanese culture, college is easier than high school. That's good to know. It's like not the case in America, and usually college is a little bit more difficult. But I guess once you graduate high school and get into the academy that you want to, things are a lot easier. And she noted that graduating is kind of a given. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. But also that L is kind of like an iguana. And I'm like, yeah, L kind of has like a lizard-like quality to him. I could see that. But Anastasia's comparison with the iguana is that there's the old, like an old folklore that the iguana would stalk someone that it was interested in. And it wasn't that they felt guilty or was interested, it's that they were their prey. The iguanas have a venomous bite, and once they bite someone, they just stalk or follow closely to them until they're in a weakened state or die. And that's kind of what L is doing with Light. He's not, I don't know if he's taken the bite yet, but he's definitely made himself there, following Light to try to get him to a point of weakness where he can strike. So that was really cool. And then Alexander Q finally said that L seems very quirky, but he's also very self-confident. Whereas Light puts on, we talked about persona, this persona of him being this arrogant, like egotistical guy that is just on top of everything. But socially, Light maybe isn't the most self-secure and self-confident, which is interesting, right? Because Light puts on this persona that he's on top of the world, he's Mr. Perfect. And the reality might be that no, he really may struggle a little bit with self-confidence and with his own esteem. And I'm like, I hadn't even thought of that. And I also think it helps L that he seems to be older. I don't know how old L is, but he does seem to be older than Light, so maybe that maturity adds to it. But I like that the idea that the ego and arrogance that Light has is part of the persona as well. That's a really cool notion. The English dub was great for episode 10. It was really good. The voice actor for L, there are times in the dub where he gets really soft-spoken and says things so oddly, but it works. It's under any other circumstance, it would be an odd line reading, but for him, it works really, really well. And then Brad Swale as Swaley, or however you pronounce his last name, as Light, is just perfect. He's really, really good. I love Miyano Mamoru as Light, but Brad, if there had to be a voice actor play him, he does a phenomenal job. So English dub's great. I really like my tradition of watching the English dub before diving into the new episode. It's become my tradition, and I really, really like it. So, but anyway, thank you all so much for the comments. They were awesome. We had a lot of great comments for episodes 8 and 9, but let us dive in and see what all happens in episode 11. It's ended on kind of a cliffhanger, so I'm sure that won't happen in this series, right? So we're going to start episode 11 of Death Note, and we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my gosh. What is this episode? What was this episode? Oh my god. This was the definition of the plot thickens. I could not be more happy to know that this sad-looking girl who has much blonder hair than the OP will let you believe, much blonder hair, that this girl with the pigtails, yeah, she is not going to be some, well, I don't know, don't quote me on this, but she's not just going to be some random girl that Light is going to use. She's going to be a girl that Light's going to use, but she has a death note. And a Shinigami with her. But here's the thing, the Shinigami that's with her is not the one with the headdress that said he was going down there. So how many death notes are going to get out there in the open? That's what I want to know. I am terrified of this, actually. But this just made things 1,000 times more complicated. So I had to bring out Whiteboard Coon. I was like, oh my God, no, this just got insane. We just got done talking before this reaction about Light and how he's just performing his heterosexuality. You're gonna have to perform it real good now because you got a fangirl who could kill you, and you're gonna have to outsmart her. Oh my God, I'm terrified for L. Terrified for our boy L. He's going to need to find himself a Shinigami real quick to help him. That's my feelings. I'm like, I am terrified for L. I'm like, God, this episode was a trip. I'm like, my head is spinning. I'm gonna have to collect myself because I was like on cloud 9 with the Misa reveal. Holy cow, her name is Misa. She's like a Harley Quinn equivalent, has a death note, is a Light fan, is a Kira fangirl, wants to meet the real deal, and she has the Shinigami eyes. Now the question is, how much life did she have? And now that's been halved, how's that going to work? How much time does she have left? There's lots of questions. I want to bring Whiteboard Coon out because there are lots of questions now with this development and lots of things that can happen. Holy shit. The mangaka, here's the thing. You should have seen it coming as the audience, because it's like, wow, are these 36 episodes really just going to be Light and L going back and forth? Won't that get old after a while? Not if we give more people the death note and make things crazier. It will not. So holy cow. So yeah, we need to go through this episode. Let me say first and foremost, I'm actually glad that this whole news station shenanigans was not Light. I am really glad this was not Light's doing, that this was a doing of the Kira fangirl of Misa. I'm really glad this was not Light's doing. Because one, it seemed way too bold and way too, like, the more we went into it, I'm like, this seems really kind of sloppy for Light. Like, it seems really bold. And then I was like, how is he killing people from outside the police station? Well, because Misa has the Shinigami eyes, all she needs is a set of binoculars so she can see their names and their lifespans, and she can kill them. So that makes sense. But it just seemed it was too bold and too sloppy and just did not fit Light at all, which was why when we got that fake out at the beginning of him like in black against the sunset, I was like, really, Light, you've gone off the deep end? I didn't think Ryuzaki got your goat that much to make you go that far off kilter, but it wasn't him. And Light's just having the time of his life being like, well, my job just got simpler because she'll probably, whoever, he thinks it's a guy though. We saw his vision of who it was with the Shinigami eyes. He thinks it's a guy, and we're going to talk about that. That's going to be interesting. There's lots to talk about with this. But he thinks that whoever has the death note now is going to kill Elle within 2 to 3 days. He's like, my job just got simpler. Haha. Little does he realize that Elle's like, desperate times call for desperate measures. Let's bring in Light to help with the case. Light's not going to say no because now he doesn't have the exams to worry about and his dad's involved. So this just got insane. I wasn't going to be binge watching. But I need to catch up with other shows, so I've got to catch up with other shows. I'll probably wait a little while, but oh my God, I don't know how long I can wait. Oh my God, let's go through this episode. So we get her in Misa in the opening. Holy cow. And then again, it's Light reaching out his hand. We're going to talk about all this. Oh, this just opened up like such a can of worms. Assault. Holy cow. And so yeah, this whole opening, this fake out red herring of an opening is genius. Because yeah, we see Ryuk looking on, it looks like, it reminded me of Star Wars for some reason. It reminded me of Revenge of the Sith. That's what it reminded me of like the sunset window and there's Anakin Skywalker looking out over the horizon. That's what it reminded me of. And Ryuk's just looking at Light, who's in his dark black t-shirt, looking out at the sunset creepily. It's such a great fake out by the mangaka in the anime because we think that watching the beginning of this episode, you think, oh, Light's about to do something really bad. And you're like, maybe he's the one that gave the tapes to the broadcast company and things are about to get really dark. They do get really dark. And this episode does such a good job of the whole time I was like, Light, are you kidding? Are you really killing these innocent people? It wasn't him. It wasn't him. The Naomi Missouri case. So let's go back to this. Should we go ahead and open a criminal investigation? We should investigate it separately from the Kira case and avoid using photographs and use only police sketches. So it's been 4 months since January, so it's April right now when this is going on. She's probably dead already. It's like, if she's dead, it's odd that her body hasn't turned up yet. So Elle is trying to figure out. So we're going to put Elle over here. So Elle is trying, Elle, a.k.a. Ryuzaki. Right? They are still investigating Naomi as a separate case. Okay. So they're still investigating Naomi. She's just a separate case on here, which is fine. All right. And I do like that Elle's picking up on the fact that it's weird that her body's not turned up. Like, something's off with that. That's odd. But if it does turn up, we might be able to find a clue. So he's like, we need to, like, keep, be vigilant. And so then we have Sakura TV. And so, again, they make lots of little comments that the people, the newscasters and everything, were from women's magazines, okay? We're going to note that, because I'm going to see, like, if Elle or if Light, like, the differences of their perception of what they caught up on, okay? So, Sakura TV, something terrible is happening. I'm going to put over here to the side our Misa category. Old Misa, who looks like goth Harley Quinn. I love it. I so 2000s. So, we have Sakura. I want to keep a track of the TV stations. Sakura TV is one of them. All right. Something terrible has happened. And so we're being held hostage by Kira. And we have the image of Kira. And it's the heart mirror with the angel wings, right? These tapes are for pure sensationalism. No, it's not a hoax. And so I like that Elle instantly is suspicious. Like, held hostage by Kira? What is this? Like, this doesn't seem like Light. It doesn't seem like Kira. So 4 days ago, our program director was sent these tapes. They were sent by Kira without a doubt. And all this guy at the TV station is thinking of are ratings. He doesn't care about these people's lives. He just wants the ratings. So, okay, 2 suspected felons arrested yesterday, predicted to die of heart attacks. So the tape themselves that she sent. So the tapes that she sent, the first tape had the 2 felons from the news. And they were just random people. That should have been the first sign, like just 2 random people, like just that anybody could find from the news. That's something only Kira could do. And then instruct us to air the second videotape today at 5:59 p.m. Okay. And saying, so here's the second thing that should have been a flag that this was not Light, and that's the way that the message was portrayed to the public, right? And it's very, very weird. Like, who would make a fake? Who would make such a vicious fake? Well, it's not Kira, it's fake Kira. So this should have been sign number 2. That you have the Kira video that has the L font and the fake voice. So Misa would know that from the original Kanto tape. So we can assume that she is from the Kanto region. Okay, so she is from the same region as Light and L, where they are stationed at. So she's from Kanto too, because she would have had to watch the original broadcast that aired when they first figured out that Light was in the Kanto region. She would have had to watch the same broadcast, saw L's font and the voice changing thing. So she's just basing this entire attack off of that information. And it should have been a red herring, because at first I was like, is Light insulting L? But I thought he was trying to like get under L's skin by doing the same font and the voice change. But the more you think about it, in hindsight, it's like, why would Light need to do that? He's already communicated with L one-on-one. He already is, like, him and L are already going back and forth. Why does he need to get under his skin to lure him out? He already knows where he's at. He's at the college that he's at, so he doesn't have to lure him out. So that should have all made sense. But you don't know at the time, and so it's like, oh, well, this is kind of bold and weird. And the Kira, no offense, Misa, this should have been red flag number 3, but the way that Kira is spelled is way too sloppy. Light is a perfectionist. Light would have found the exact font that Elle used in his video and would have matched it to a T if he were to do anything like that. And he would have matched the voice acting and the voice configuration perfectly, because Light is that much of a perfectionist. But this is much more sloppy. So it should have been a flag that it was not Kira. So yeah. And the tapes also, what was on the tape seemed rather simplistic, right? It just seemed too simple for being Light, for being Kira. So Tayo TV. All right. So that was the other one. We have Sakura TV. We have Tayo TV is the other one that's on there, right? And the anchor will die of a heart attack at exactly 6 o'clock. Okay. And they're like, really, changed him. And I'm sorry, but changing it and seeing the person just there dead, that is some freaky, disturbing shit. That was like, oh. And if you look to see what kind of news they're airing, it's all like, there's a dog expo and it's fluffy and like lighthearted and has like really cutesy things all about it. So the TV stations and the hosts are more for like entertainment channels. I don't foresee Light tuning into the dog expo, the Westminster Dog Show in Japan. I don't see Light tuning into that. He's probably tuning into something like politics or news related, right? That's freaking disturbing. And they're like, cut the TV, cut it off. Oh my God. Like, how could he? And he's like, change the channel back. And so Elle is pissed. Elle is like that grumpy iguana face that Elle has. He is pissed. He's like, no, this is not right. This is not. He comes to the conclusion that the Kira that we know that is Light has not killed true, and I'm going to put true in quotation marks, true innocence. Meaning people who are not standing in his way. He's not just killed a random news anchor. And at that point, because I still thought it was Light, I was like, oh, this is dark. Like, Light, why are you killing randos? And yeah, I like that Elle's just pissed. He's like, 2 sets. Kira as evil in the air. This was his punishment. So, and then another victim is NHN TV commentator, Mr. Seiji. He's continued to condemn me, and he's scheduled to appear live. Okay, so, and then they changed the channel, and it's the same thing. So, so the news anchors are ones who have condemned Kira. Well, here's the thing. If you are a Kira fangirl and someone's dissing your man, then that would be a reason to get rid of them. So that makes perfect sense. Makes sense why Misa would target them, because they're making fun of her bae. Oh my God. Like, she's a freaking yandere. She is a yandere. This is the definition. Oh my God. I'm so excited because I haven't had a chance to have a lot of yandere in anime that I've watched. Only heard of the title, but we can pretty much infer that she is yandere for Kira. Old Misa is. Oh, buddy. Okay. I trust you believe now I'm Kira. And Elle's like, no. But Elle's like, this is weird. Kira said he was going to send a message to the people of the world. And he's like, something terrible will happen if we don't stop this broadcast. I like that Elle's like, we got to stop it now. This is some serious shit. And so they try to call the lines. The one line's busy. The other line, Aizawa's friend has his cell phone turned off. And Matsuda can't reach the station. And then, damn it, Ukita goes. Ukita goes to stop the station at the source. And at that point, the video is saying, I don't want to kill the innocent. I hate evil and love justice. See, that's very simplistic, right? It was too simple and sloppy to be Light. It didn't have finesse to it, right? Like the whole I hate evil, love justice, that doesn't sound like Light. Light would frame it in a much more like robust manner, right? But that's not how Misa is. So then we have Mr. Ukita and his death. We're going to talk about that, all right? We're going to talk about that. So yeah, I consider the police as allies and not my enemy. And L is just like, what is happening? Because L in his mind is going, this does not match any of the patterns we've had like the last 6 months. What is going on? Because so basically Misa wanted the police to help her and to get rid of the task force. He's like, damn you, Kira. My goal is to create a world without evil. And so if everyone cooperates, this will be simple. And at this point, I was getting like really freaked out, being like, Light, what are you doing? Like, you said you were going to work behind the scenes. Like, why are you announcing this to the world? And if you do not try to capture me, the innocent will not die. And so we have them going, even if you don't agree with me. And so at this point here, refrain from publicizing your views in the media or in the public and you'll be spared. At that point, I was like, whoa. Kira, you're telling people just to keep quiet. You're being quite the pushy god here, like making people do whatever you want to, but it's not Light. That's Misa. So just don't talk bad about my boo and you'll be fine. Be patient. I'll create a better world for everyone. And she's doing all of this just to appease to Light to get him to meet her. She is a fangirl of Kira. She is a fangirl of Kira and his ideals and wants to meet him. Oh, buddy. Okay. We'll talk about that. But yeah, it's just, oh my God, this whole episode was just an assault on your emotions. You're just like, wait, what? And so inhabited by only good, kind-hearted people. Imagine it. Together the police of the world and I will create. But here's this, that should have been red flag number 5,870 was when she said, together the police and I of the world and I will create. No. Light is not using the police to create his kind world. Light's like, I'm going to do this all myself. So Light would never say, together the police and I will create. No, Light wants to be the god himself. He doesn't want anyone else helping him. That's the thing. So if we put Light in the middle here. Yeah, the difference is that Light works alone. I mean, Ryuk's there, not by choice. But Light works alone. He doesn't want the police to help him. And it doesn't seem like Misa gets the idea that Light's whole thing is that he wants to be the god of the new world. Right? He wants to be the god of the new world, which means he's by himself on top of the pedestal. He's on the throne alone. Misa's whole thing is like, oh, the police will work with us and blah, blah, blah. I don't think Misa gets that Kira wants to be a god. Misa just thinks that Kira's creating this good world without evil. She doesn't get what Light's overall objective is because nobody really does, right? Except for Elle. Elle's the only one that's figured it out. And I love this. I love that. For the record, Light's dad gets like 1,000 gray hairs in the span of 20 minutes. He goes from having like this black hair to by the end of this episode when he's like on the brink of everything, his hair has turned white. Like he is going gray fast. I'm like, oh my God. So Sachiko, we get Light's mother. His dad is Soichiro and his mom is Sachiko. Fun times. But he's telling her, he's like, why'd you turn it off? And she's like, this will affect your health. You need to rest. And he's like, I love you, but I'm in charge of the police force. I need to see this. I'm head of the Kira task force. He's like, this takes place over my health. And I love that she's like, fine, I'll turn it back on. Damn. I was floored when Akita got out and was killed. I was floored. I was like, how? But, and a part of me was like, okay. And he goes to shoot the door, and that's when he has the heart attack, right? And he can't get to the communicator to tell them, right? So I was wondering, I was like, why would he kill Akita? Because that would reveal that he knows his actual name. They're in such a panic in the police station back at Elle's hotel room. They're in such a panic that they don't connect two and two that, okay, well, the only ones who would know the real names of ourselves are those that are related to the police force. So, you know, I was expecting them to bring Light back into suspicion because Light would know the names, but everything is so chaotic right now. They're not even thinking about that. It's just the fact that Akita's dead, right? But that was another flag. I was like, why would he kill Akita? Because that would reveal that he knows their actual names and not the fake ID. But if you're her and have the Shinigami eyes, all she has to do is look through the binoculars, see them, know their name and face, and she can kill him. She can write in the death note without even... That's dangerous! That's so freaky! We kind of see in action like what the Shinigami eyes can do. That's terrifying. No! Oh my god. And L just being like, there he is. Like L knows something is wrong. Ukita. And Aizawa, and I love, here's the thing. This is for me a defining factor between L and Light, because Aizawa's gonna go over there and L's like, don't you dare, don't do it. And he's like, I'm going where Akita is. And he's like, that wouldn't be good. Please think calmly. And he's like, are you just telling me to sit here? And he's like, if you go over there now, you'll meet the same fate. You're going to die. And I like that Aizawa's like, well, Kira shouldn't be able to kill without a name, right? I mean, this does mess things up. This does mess up the trajectory, because now they're going to be like, how could this have happened? He didn't have our real names. So this is going to call some things into suspicion, right? And make them reevaluate some things as well. And he's like, that may be so. And we don't get to see L's eyes. We don't see his eyes during this point. He says it would be a lot easier to kill off all those who are investigating him before making a move. I deduced that he needed to face and a name to kill, but from what I just saw, it's not entirely possible he may be able to need only a face. But then here's the thing. L is like, why is he waiting until we get to the police force to kill us off? Wouldn't he kill us off before making this move to keep us from even trying to stop him? So L's like, that doesn't make sense. And then we see the binoculars. And that's when I was like, Light's house is nowhere near where the police station is. So I was like, so did Light go to a hotel? That's what I was thinking. I was like, did Light go to a hotel? And no, that's not it at all. Kira is within that television station. And Aizawa was like, well, then we should go find him if he's nearby. And I just love that L's like, no, listen to yourself. That's not a good idea. He could have placed surveillance cameras. He may not actually be here. If we go there unprepared, we'll just be killed. And this is the part that I love. He says, you said that you were risking your life to catch Kira, didn't you? And then we see risking my life and doing something that it'll easily kill me off are two completely different things. He's like, risking your life and just throwing it away are not the same. And if we go down there without thinking and being prepared, we're just throwing it away. We're not even trying. And that moment where Aizawa notices he is gripping his legs so hard. L is so pissed and so frustrated and mad and concerned and upset. That to me is such a difference, is that L is so upset about it. Now, to play devil's advocate for Light, could we say, my theory with that is that L is different than Light, and that Light, other than his father maybe, I don't think Light cares at all if anybody else dies. Other than his family, I don't think Light cares. I think he's like, whatevs. I don't think he cares if they die, which we'll talk about with his father here very soon. But I do feel like with L does care, and that's where he is different than Light. And so the death of Akita is like, it's on his watch. He's like, because we haven't been able to catch Kira, now our men are dying. So you could argue, if you're going to play devil's advocate for Light, you could be like, oh, no. L's just mad because Kira's, has the upper hand in the situation. If you want to argue that, fine. But I think that L cares. I think that he's so mad and frustrated, and he's like, please bear with it. Mr. Akita was killed. Like, he's just so upset, and we don't see his eyes, right? So my respect for L, dude. Him getting so, like, we've seen Light angry, we've seen Light enraged, but Light enraged was because he didn't get his way and was shown up. L enraged is because his men on his watch are dying. And he can't do anything about it. It's that sense of, both of them have experienced senses of powerlessness, and they're both have been pissed about it. And we've seen how both of them handle that emotion, right? Light, we see his eyes, we see him get mad and physical. Light, it emotes that fury, and L contains it. Like, that's a big difference between them, and it's so freaking good. If something were to happen to you as well, he's like, I couldn't bear. He's like, no, he's like, I don't want anything else to happen. And so then we have Kira saying, I want the police to tell me whether or not they'll help create a new world. And so please make an announcement on the 6 o'clock news in 4 days. I've prepared a video for whichever answer you choose. And then, yeah, Chief Yagami, he's like, peace up, A-Town, just like just going, oh my God, he just takes off and just blows right through the building. Chief Yagami is a freaking badass. He is amazing, and I love him. He may be one of my favorite characters in the show. I don't want him to die. I'm just like, Chief Yagami, we're going to put him down here. Chief Yagami, just Soichiro being an unequivocal badass. Just certified 100% fresh. None, just a straight up badass. I freaking love him. And so he may be one of my favorite characters in the show, along with Ryuk. But yeah, oh man. And then I love that he just steps out and he's like, I'm not getting seen if I just blow through the building, right? And he comes in with it looks like a freaking Jedi Master, like coming in with the hoodie. He's like, where's the studio? God, I love him so much. And so a vehicle just crashed in a soccer TV, and they're all like, who could it be? The one getting into the building without being seen. And I love that L's like, who would do that? And then that he's kind of figuring it out as he goes. And Chief Yagami is not messing around. He pulls out a gun and is like, you're gonna stop it or I'm gonna blow your brains out. Let's do this. He's like, yeah. He's like, because the one guy's like, oh, if we're interrupted, we'll be killed by Kira. And he's like, if you don't do what I tell you to, you're gonna be killed right now. Damn it. Holy shit. And he still had black hair during that. He still had black hair during that hold up with his old Smith & Wesson there. But afterwards, it clearly takes a toll on him. He's like, are you out of your mind? And that gleam in his eye, no. I see where Light gets the madness from. It is genetic. He gets it from his dad. His dad's like, no, I will not stand for this while you let innocent people die for your ratings. No, sir. Oh my God. So, okay. Another clue here. We have the Death Note, how to use it. The instrument to write with can be anything. Cosmetics, blood, etc. As long as it can write directly onto the note and remains in legible letters. Cosmetics, huh? Like lipstick? Should have been a hint at Misa there. Should have been a hint. But then the second note kills me. The second one kills me. Because all it says is that the Death Note, even the original owners of the Death Note, Gods of Death, do not know much about the note. It's just here's this like bomb without instruction manuals. We don't know how it works. Maybe you'll find out. Maybe you can figure it out. This show gets more and more bonkers and wild, and I freaking love it. I'm in love. Okay. But yeah, I love this. He's like, you are treating Kira like a celebrity. No. He's like, it's not how we function. He's like, Kira should not be a celebrity. And that is so true, because a lot of mass murderers, they want fame, they want attention. And so one of the things that they always say is like, if somebody commits an assassination or something, it's like the killer of John Lennon. They're like, don't say his name. He wanted the fame of killing John Lennon. So they're like, don't say his name. Don't give him that power. Don't give him that attention, right? And so Yagami's like, don't give Kira what they want. Stop treating him like a celebrity. This is a mass murderer. He's like, it serves you right if he kills you. Give me all the copies of your tapes and don't try anything. And for a split second, I thought that the news studio guy was going to pull a gun. I really thought he was going to pull a gun on Chief Yagami. And I was like, are we about to have a shootout? I really thought that he was about to do something, but he doesn't. He gives it to him. He lets him have it. He's like, you've got a crazy look in your eyes. You're like, yeah. He's like, I'm tired of this. No. And so then the police car showing up in front of Sakura TV studios. And he says, we're not alone. There are still police who are willing to stand up against Kira. Mm-hmm. And then I love that L's like calmed down enough where he's like, do you know Deputy Director Kitamura's cell phone? Let me have it. And he tells Kitamura, he's like, look, we weren't going to involve you in the case, but guess what? Now we are. So are you ready to help? Because we'd really need your help. This is your chance to do something. He's like, watch the news broadcast and you'll see the officers driven to act on their own to bring Kira to justice. If you don't take control of them, we'll have a tragedy on our hands. And I like that Kitamura's like, well, we're not supposed to do anything. But then he sees the police officers, the men dying that try to get close to the scene of the crime. And he's like, okay, what do I need to do? I understand, L. Like, advise me on how I should lead him. I'm like, L's just taking this case and run with it. Like, we got a situation, we're gonna handle it. And then Watari. And then, oh my gosh, and he's like, call him back and give the phone to me. And get me Ryuzaki. I love that he's like, so it was your police in the van. Oh, it was you in the police van. I just love this back and forth between them. He's like, I couldn't take it anymore. I love it. I've confiscated all the tapes and I'll bring them to you. And he says, how are you doing? Like, God. See, that's the thing. I don't think that it's performative that L cares for Chief Yagami. I don't think it is. I think he's like, okay, how are you? I think he is genuinely empathetic, whereas Light is becoming more and more like Kira and he has to put on the act of caring. I don't think L's putting on an act. I think that he's being genuine. And Chief Yagami lies and he's like, oh, I'm fine. And he's like, I've never felt more alive in my life. And that may be true, but he is not fine. He's like hunched up against a wall, almost out of breath. Like, oh my God. And then I love the back and forth with the cell phones. Like, L's like, this conversation, then this conversation. Here's what we're going to do. It's like, it's so Sherlock. It's such a Sherlock moment where he's going back and forth, like talking to these guys at the same time. It's, wait 5 minutes, do this. It just felt like such a Sherlock detective moment. He's like, and go through the front entrance. God, I love it. It's so good. And so we see then him like slowly walking towards the entrance and the red light and everything. It's so well done. Like the atmosphere of Chief Yagami walking towards the front of the news station, like in the darkness with the light. And it just looks like he's walking to his death. It's done so well. Oh, and then, yeah, walking down a long tunnel to the end of the corridor, which is funny because that tunnel kind of looks like the tunnel that Light and L are in the OP. It looks like the tunnel that both of them are in. So maybe that's something more metaphorical in that tunnel that both of them have to meet on equal grounds is because of Misa, right? So maybe it's more of like a symbolic thing in the OP that Light and L are meeting with one another like on equal terms to face off against Misa. Maybe we'll talk more about that, but it literally looks like he's walking to his death. Oh my gosh. But then when he looks out, he sees, yep, the one guy. And it's the guy, right? It's the guy that quit earlier. Isn't it the guy that quit the squad from the start? And he was like, I can't do this, and walked away because he was afraid he'd be seen. Isn't it him? And he ends up saving him. And there's all the police force. Do not leave any gaps. Do not show yourselves. Kira is not in the television station. He's outside. I love it. And yeah, it's that guy. And he lets Chief Yagami get in the car. Like that solidarity, that moment of all of them, and he thanks them. It's so freaking good. He's like, I'll drive myself. Oh, damn. And he just leaves the guy stranded there, but I guess he's got all the buses he can get into, so he's not alone. Man. And listen up. There's a good chance Shakira's in the area. Be sure not to show yourselves while you're searching. So we have this house, right, this like hotel suite with the binoculars right there. Okay. So the question is Misa a rich girl? If she was a rich girl, la 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 la. So is she Is she rich too? Or is she just opportunistic? Is she just an opportunist? Because I guess you could argue she doesn't have to be rich. She could just be somebody that walked into the hotel room, killed the person with the key, and took their key to their suite. You could argue that, I guess. You could do that. She just doesn't seem like she has a lot of finesse. She just is ballsy and crazy yandere. So we'll see. We don't have a lot with her character yet. But basically the police have decided that they're going to fight Kira. So the police are going to fight Kira. Okay. Got that. I will gather up the courage to say this. This is right. This is the right thing to do. And so, yeah, this news reporter is like, this is the right stance the country under rule of law should take. And the news reporter says their name and says who they are for the news station and then says that they are with the police. And then the chief comes back. God, and his hair! He's like gone gray overnight. He's been under so much stress. Our poor Chief Yagami. Yeah, he's just aged dramatically over the course of one evening. Either that or the Just for Men has sweat out. Like one of those two scenarios. Oh my gosh. He says, I'm sorry for acting on my own. But the funny thing is, joke's on you, Chief. El's been acting on his own for like the last 2 weeks. Ugh. He's like, I got too emotional. And he's like, not at all. But he got all the tapes and the envelopes. Okay. He says, thank you. Oh, our dude. So we have the tapes, right? I just love the L's eyes. They're like in super, like, some of you in the Discord called him like a moth to a flame, a moth to a light, if you will. I'm like, yes. But I'm like, he's just like so enamored, like, what is this shit? This is not Kira's calling card. Oh, poor Mr. Yagami, your efforts will not be in vain. And so that's the thing, like the duck stamp. So it's from Osaka. Now the question is, but Kira can control his victims before they die. So he could have gone ahead and delivered from Osaka without getting there himself. So the question is Misa smart enough to have done that? Is Misa from Osaka and mailed it herself? Or did she have some way to do it? The question is Misa smart enough to have done that? They're going to dust it for prints, so I guess they'll find out, right? We'll see. We'll see if the lab can dust for prints and find out if it's her. And maybe, so that could be. So they're sending the tapes. They're sending the tapes and envelope to a lab for prints and DNA. So the question is, if they team up with Light and they find out that Misa is involved and they go to confront her, will they send Light to go confront her? That could have a lot of possibilities, and we'll talk about that when we get closer to it. But yeah, they're going to check for prints. Okay. Check the contents of the duplicate tapes. And so then, yeah. So they go through the tapes and they ask what's on them. And he says, they're very interesting. If the police had said yes and cooperated, episode 3 would be aired. And if the answer was no, episode 4 would be aired. So the details of the condition for the cooperation. And they're about the same. He's like, basically to broadcast more criminals, and especially those who hurt people, or criminals who abused those weaker than they are, regardless of how severe. So Misa said that they wanted anybody who had abused or treated others as inferior to be killed. That should have been red flag number 6, because Light has established that he doesn't want to kill the lesser criminals with heart attacks. He wants to make them suffer. And Misa is like wanting to just kill him outright. So there's something, has Misa been abused in the past? Has Misa been, treated poorly in the past? I'm going to guess yes. Because she has this fixation on Kira, who's just is distributing this justice that I could see her getting behind. She's drinking the Kool-Aid, right? And so basically Kira would play the judge in all of this. And furthermore, as proof of the police cooperating, then Elle and the top brass in the MPA would have to show their faces and announce they'll cooperate with them, which should have been another red flag too, because why would Light need to see Elle and his father on TV? He knows what they look like, but Misa needs to see Elle's face and his name to see his name. Same thing with Chief Yagami. So that's why they need to come on screen. In other words, get the top brass and me to show our faces. So if we do anything suspicious, he can kill us. And I love that they assume it's a man. Everybody assumes it's a guy. We'll talk about that. But they assume that Kira is a man because that's what they've been suspecting all along. What if we had answered no? Basically the same thing, just expressed in a different manner. So yeah, it's going to be the same thing. So it's going to be either way, same thing, same story, different way of saying it. But it was going to end with the same result. Miss Yagami, the answer is no, of course. Right. Please give Soccer TV permission to air the 4th video. And so, yeah. And then they air the 4th video. The police have answered, and they still wish to fight me. So I'll take the life of General Director of the NPA, or I may take the life of Elle, who is leading the investigation. So the General Director is not the chief. That is the guy that the other family, that it was the other family being wiretapped, not Chief Yagami. So it's either Elle or the other guy. Can't imagine who they're going to pick. The Director General or Elle, who will be sacrificed for the loss of a peaceful world. Make your decision in 4 days. And then we see Light in his white jeans like no one wears and his black shirt. And he's just pleased as punch. And at this point I was like, Light, how could you be so cruel? But Light's like, I didn't do anything. He's like, no. He's like, I just got handed a bone. He's like, God is on my side. Only this time it's not God, but a Shinigami, a god of death. He looks really handsome in that shot. Oh, Light looks really handsome. So Light's figured it out. He's like, the Shinigami are on my side. Because half of Light's job just got simpler. Because either in 4 days, either Elle or the Director General will supposedly die. Okay. So in 4 days, and Light, God. And Ryuk is like, so it seems another Shinigami has come to the human world. And another Shinigami's death note has fallen into the hands of someone who endorses Kira. Yep. The guy probably also has the Shinigami eyes. Yep. So this is Kira's killing abilities are far more powerful than mine. And I love that Light's mind, it's this man that looks like the Chimera Ant King from Hunter x Hunter. It's just got like those eyes. Like that's how Light imagines it. They all think it's a guy. Right? And then he's got the Shinigami eyes and has more powerful killing abilities than me. So yeah, Misa has the Shinigami eyes. And is a more powerful killer than Light. As of right now. Right? So Light's like, well, okay. If I leave things the way they are, then Elle might be eliminated within the next 4 days. But I can't forgive the imposter for dragging down Kira's image with those dirty tactics. This is the part that got me too, right? So this is the part that got me too. I was expecting something else to be added on the end of that. Because here's the thing. Light is like, well, if I do nothing, then Elle could die in 4 days, which would solve part of Light's problem. That would alleviate like all of the suspicion off of Light. What I thought he was going to add was, but if I don't figure out who this is, my father could die too. Does he say that? Nope. He doesn't. Instead he says, but I can't forgive this imposter for dragging down Kira's image. I was like, Light, no. But this imposter is dragging Kira through the mud. He's like, I can't be a god and have these dirty tactics defining me. I'm like, what about your dad? He's like, if the imposter slips up and is caught, the existence of the death note could be discovered, and that would be bad. So that is the thing too. And I think that Light is smart to worry about that. That if discovered, the death note could be a problem. So he says, I can't let them, can't run wild too long. So Light's like, okay, we could this will work for the next 4 days, and maybe they'll kill Elle. But after they kill Elle, we need to shut that shit down because that could get out of control really quickly. And Light is saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Light is reasonably saying this person who has the other death note is probably not as smart as me and not as diligent as me and as precautious as me. So they have a higher chance of getting caught or doing something stupid, and that's going to ruin everything. So I agree with Light on that. That's a really smart thing. I'm just can't believe you didn't consider the problem with your dad in all of this. My priority is to cooperate with the investigation. To figure out Elle's moves and the fake Kira's moves. Fun times. So Light is saying that I will cooperate to figure out Elle and the fake Kira. Light's like, I'm going to cooperate with the police so I can figure out what Elle's going to do and figure out what's going on with this fake Kira because they'll be investigating him. Right? Meanwhile, Elle is saying the exact same thing. Elle is saying, for Elle, he's like, we need Light to cooperate so we can track the fake Kira. So we can track down the fake Kira, which is also Light's job. But then Elle wants to also track Light under the guise of, oh, we're just needing him to help us with this case. He's trying to track him just like Light is trying to track Elle. And they're both using this fake Kira as a guise to make the cooperation go smoothly. It's genius. I absolutely love it. It's so damn good, right? He says, Ryuzaki, it's as you thought. Leaders of several countries have talked, and they want the real Elle to appear on TV. That's a bad thing. And I like that Elle's like, I could die if that happens. He's like, well, that would be the most right and reasonable choice. Good thing we have 3 days to make that not happen. He's like, we have 3 days to prevent that from happening, because otherwise it would annoy me. I love he says, it would annoy me if I'm killed by someone who jumped on Kira's bandwagon. And at that point I was like, he knows it's not the real Kira. I love it. He's like, it'd be a shame if I was killed by an imposter in all of this. And they're all like, wait, what? I love it. Him just sitting there eating his cake. There's a high possibility this Kira is a fake. We should call him the second Kira. It's fake. Yeah, why do you think there's a second Kira? And the other guys, I was like, explain! He says, they're all the predicted victims. He says they were used to convince the TV station employees that he's Kira. But the 2 victims were only featured in women magazines and on daytime talk shows. So yeah, so that doesn't seem like something that matches up with the Kira we know, that the victims were from women's shows and magazines. Like Kira in the past has been getting all their victims from the news, and this is not following suit with what's going on. But I like that they still think it's a guy. I'm like, the women's magazines and daytime talk shows, I guess he's just, not being sexist maybe. The real Kira has no need to prove himself with such insignificant people. But in the second Kira's views, he couldn't use a criminal that the real Kira might kill before his prediction. Yeah, so that's the thing. Couldn't target somebody that the real Kira would target. So what are the chances there is a second Kira? And I like these like 70%. And those of you that said that it's opposite, I'm like, no, I think that he's being real, like 70%. No, there's a high chance. Like, no, I don't like the way he does things. It's not like Kira. He's like, not like Kira. Kira's always avoided innocent victims. aside from those who have tried to catch him. If we catch one Kira, I think we'll get a hint as to how we can catch the other, which is very smart, right? He's like, I don't like how this Kira works. The real Kira, despite it having the evil power of being able to kill people, the real Kira has not killed anyone technically innocent yet. So L's thing is, if we catch the second Kira, we can learn how they kill to catch the first. He's like, this second Kira is a lot sloppier and a lot less good. So if we catch them, we can figure out how to do it. The problem is, if she has the Shinigami eyes, you really have a very small window to catch that person. You have 40 seconds, but you have less than 40 seconds. You just got to keep them away from the notebook. That's the terrifying part, is that she could literally just write your name in the book and kill you without having to do anything. It's just over. So how are you going to you've got to wear a mask to not get caught, right? They're going to have to wear a mask or find some way to hide their face, right? And that's where Elle says, may I ask your son to cooperate in this investigation? And Chief Yagami's like, does that mean he's no longer a suspect? And Elle's like, whoa, hold your horses, Dad. I'm not done suspecting your son yet. But he says, no, I can't say he's been cleared, but I could use his reasoning ability. He's like, and I'm sure, here's the thing. Elle is probably thinking, okay, Kira hates to lose. Kira is probably, if he has a godlike complex, is probably feeling like he's being shown up by this fake Kira. And we've established Kira works alone, so Elle is probably thinking Light, if he's Kira, would not want someone else helping him. He probably wants to find out the same thing. Who's this fake Kira? And Chief Yagami's like, so that's what it means. He's like, if my son wants to cooperate with you, I have no reason to stop you. He's like, thank you, but let's keep it a secret that this current Kira might be a fake. I love that. For some reason, he has a really cutesy face when he's doing that. He's like, let's keep it a secret. Like, he's got like a little smile. It's kind of cutesy and weird. It's a very weird face that Elle makes. I'm like, oh, odd. Let's keep it a secret that this current Kira might be a fake. Let's just act like we're looking for the real Kira. Let's treat it all the same. Make sure it seems as if we're pursuing the same Kira. Let's not make this difficult. So, what did that say? That said Takeshita Street. Okay, Takeshita Street. And then we see the pop idol. We see the guy, the Ryuga, the Hideki Ryuga, and we see all, like, is this the Harajuku district? Is that what this is? Because we see all the fashion out. And so then we see this Shinigami that is not the Shinigami with the headdress. Is not that one. Nope. It is a totally different Shinigami. So there's a Shinigami that has like a feminine voice that is with Misa, but it is not the one with the headdress. That is concerning. That's very concerning, because that means that there could be a third person with the Death Note out there. That there could be a whole bunch of people with the Death Notes. I don't like this. No. I gave you the Death Note, so why don't you use it more for yourself? Okay, and that is the Shinigami that was asleep in episode 1 that has like the skeletal hand stuff. That was the Shinigami that had its head down that was asleep. Oh, okay. Wow, okay. And then this girl, Misa, says, I am using it for myself. Because I believe in what Kira is doing. She believes in Kira's ideals. I want to know what kind of person Kira is. She's using the Death Note to get closer to her stalker. I want to meet him and talk to him. Oh my God. Yep, I sent those videos to the television station just for that. And the way that she walks, and it's just like almost distorted. It's distorted how she walks and like how her shadow is. Oh my God. So she sent the tapes to the studio. She wants to meet Kira. I made sure Kira would take notice. I bet that got Kira's attention. I'm sure of it. And then I like the Shinigami says, this is a dangerous game. And she's just talking out loud because doesn't care if anybody can hear. The Shinigami like, this is dangerous. You might be killed. Do you understand? And she's like, it's all right. I'm sure Kira is kind to those with pure hearts. Lovely. So she thinks that she is quote unquote good. Those are the most dangerous kind of people. The people that are doing these crazy things under the guise that they believe they're doing good. That is terrifying. Nope. And she's like, it's fine. Kira will forgive me. I'm helping him after all. Oh my God. But if it comes down to it, and then yeah, she's got like the belt, the goth clothes. I'm stronger because I have the eyes. Oh, so she's like, it won't matter if he's mad. I have the eyes, so I have the upper hand. She really does, in a sense. If she sees light and suspects. So that's interesting. Okay. Shit. So the question is, does she always have those eyes? Are they always red, or does she make them red? That's the question, isn't it? So yeah, holy cow. So Elle and Light are going to work together. So we have Elle and Light working together to find Misa and figure her out. And Elle obviously wants to stop Misa because she's a threat to humanity, right? Light just wants to stop Misa because she's dragging his name through the mud as Kira, and because her going wild could get to... With Light, there's much more to it than with Elle. Elle wants to stop Misa because she is doing evil things. That is the main thing. But also because he wants to stop her to lure out the real Kira, which is Light. So for Elle, it kind of has multi-purposes. He wants to catch Misa because, one, it will stop bad things from happening. Two, it will allow him to figure out how the killings work and to use that to help catch Light. So there's multiple things that work there. In Light's case, he needs to catch Misa to keep from getting caught, which is what Elle is trying to do, right? So that is just like another factor of the cat and mouse game. They both are trying to use her to figure each other out. Elle's trying to get Misa to figure out Light and how he's been killing. Light wants to get to Misa to keep that from getting out, right? But also because Misa has hurt Kira's image, right? And Misa is just using the Death Note to get closer to Light, to find Light and find Kira and talk to them. And to like share in this, you and I can be the king and queen of this new world. And Light's like, I work alone, right? So the crazy thing in all of this is that I was just thinking back at the end of this episode. The crazy thing is that it may be Kira that does kill Chief Yagami. It just won't be Light. It may be Misa that kills Chief Yagami in the name of Kira. And so the question will be, if it comes to that, Light said if his father ever died, he would execute Kira. Now, that takes on a whole new meaning, because if Misa is the one that kills Chief Yagami, then yeah, Light's gonna kill her. And she represents the second Kira. So Light may actually get to keep his word. He may end up killing Kira. It's just not himself. It's Misa, if she ends up killing Chief Yagami. But Light hasn't said anything about that. I'm like, I would be terrified knowing that there is another Kira impersonator that has Shinigami eyes, that has the Death Note, that could come after your dad. I'd be pretty freaked out about that. I'd be a little bit worried that she would not know that Chief Yagami should be spared because he's your dad, and she would try to kill all of them. I'd be concerned about that. And maybe he will be in the next episode. Maybe he'll be like, okay, I need to keep my dad safe. But I honestly think if anybody's going to kill Chief Yagami now, it's going to be Misa. And that freaks me out because she's terrifying. And we still don't know where the headdress Shinigami is. If he's found somebody to use the Death Note, we don't know that. But it's going to get really interesting. And here's the thing. We talked about at the beginning of the reaction, Light's whole thing about not knowing how to perform heterosexuality. Is Light going to have to woo Misa Is that what the OP is hinting at? Him wooing her? Because here's the thing. Light says he's a pretty popular guy. He's pretty good in the looks department. I feel like if Misa finds out that Light is Kira, that he is going to try to seduce her and use her. Because again, this ties back to how Light views himself against women. I'm sure he's like, well, she's not better than me. She just stumbled across the Death Note and took the Shinigami Eyes deal. What a fool. Like, I can just see him being like, what a fool to take this. She doesn't find any finesse in this at all. And so I feel like he'll recognize that she's a threat because she has the Shinigami Eyes, but he is going to try to use her against L and to use her to his advantage and be like, I'm Kira, you should work for me. You should help me to stop all the criminals and we can do good together until he finds a chance to kill her. That's what I think is going to happen. But the question is, how smart is Misa really? How much is the Shinigami she's with willing to help her? And is that Shinigami and Ryuk going to have beef with each other? How's that going to work? Oh my God. This show, I did not see it coming that Misa was going to be one with the Death Note. Did not see it coming she was going to have it. That just opens up like such a can of worms. It opens up such a can of worms. And this whole story just got so... The possibilities of where this story can go just like when... like doors just bust wide open. I'm terrified for Chief Yagami now because I, at least up until this point, thought, okay, Light likes his father. He's not going to try to kill him. Even if they work on the case together, his dad is convinced that Light is not Kira. And if his dad dies at the hands of Misa, he may die believing that his son was not Kira. He may die believing, oh, my son wasn't Kira, it was this girl. He may not believe his son was it at all. The death flags are out for Yagami. As much as I love him, she terrifies me. This whole back and forth between these two has been amazing. And I've been like wanting to root for both of them in the oddest of ways. I want Light to get caught, but I don't want him to get caught yet. So it's the craziest thing. But she is terrifying. She adds like a whole nother, she's like a stick of dynamite that just got added to the maze. Oh my God, she's terrifying. And the fact that she doesn't seem like she has the deductive skills that Light and Elle have, and that she's just doing this to get to Light is terrifying because hell hath no fury, right? So I'm worried. We've got a yandere on our case. I'm terrified. This girl has killed people to get closer to Light and has not batted an eye. Like, that's the thing. Elle's probably going to be like, oh shit, we got a fangirl on our case. This is even worse. So, I could gush about this episode. I said episodes 9 and 8 were my favorites, but I really like this episode too. So I can gush. I could go on and gush, but I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers. Please no spoilers. I am so floored by this episode. I can't. I'm so floored. But I can't wait to find out more and to see what's going to happen next. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. But yeah, I will be back very soon with episode 12 of Death Note. Bye.